for Uganda Flying Labs, and also our ST, which is Ratizo Spatial Tech. We deal in geographical information systems and robotic technology. So I don't know what you're expecting from me today when you hear about location intelligence. Just to break the ice, what is your expectation when you hear? AI, yes, to some extent. What else? That's your expectation. AI, mapping, Okay, all right. I think you're in the right track. I'm not too sure how this thing is going to work. Are you doing something from that side? Okay. Yeah, but I did that. It's not working. Okay, so I'm going to just tell you a little bit about Uganda Flying Labs, what we do, and then talk about coffee. I have a use case I want to discuss with you, the risks that enabled us to come up with solutions using location analysis tools, including drones as well as AI solutions. And of course, we have question and answer. We have 45 minutes or 50 or 1 hour. I need to understand my pace. 50 minutes. Okay. All right. Okay, let me just tell you a little bit about Uganda Flying Labs and also Ratizo Spatial Tech. We aim in improving livelihoods through the deployment of location intelligence and robotic technology. We strive to partner with various organizations, either technical, business, or academic, for collaboration in order for us to grow and work together in areas where we are short of knowledge. We are part of the global network of 35 countries, and we've been in existence for probably 3 years now. Some of our partners, the core partner is Ratizo Spatial Tech, which is the local partner in Uganda. And we have Innovation Software and Logic, which is in South Africa. Huchi Capital, which is more to do with honey and beekeeping. Scaling Up Africa is just business advisors. We Robotic, which is the parent partner for Uganda Flying Labs, and then we're also working with Soroti University. I don't know if this thing is really working. Oh, okay. I feel like I'm shouting. Okay. Yes, you're right. We are definitely a mapping and data analytics knowledge hub. We provide innovative solutions to social and sector-oriented challenges through appropriate robot technology. We spark innovation in the young generation, provide training. We also execute projects. We've done some projects in utility services, humanitarian, public health, risk management, agriculture, livestock management. We've been working with IDI on the Kalangala project, the drone cargo project. We've been working also with Makerere University, the School of Vet Medicine, on they were tracking cattle in the cattle corridor that is in, I'm forgetting the name, anyway. We have been doing some work with them in the cattle corridor as well, and UECTL, to name a few, in line inspection. So maybe just to break it down, what we do, we are a local community that aims to build labs and believe that we cannot do so much. You know, we have so many challenges that are prevailing everywhere, every day because of climatic conditions which are changing. You just cannot do so much, and you cannot respond to everything to bring a total turnaround in all the spaces, which is ICTs, water and sanitation, and also in the area of public health. So we have decided to train people so that they can do it themselves. We cannot do all that work single-handedly. Therefore, we train in drone piloting, UAV data processing and analysis, health robotics, GIS, and remote sensing. Okay, some of the work which we have done in Nakasongola, as you can see, he was talking about AI. We were using an Atlas application where we did training to identify the cattle in huge cattle ranches so that the farmers could locate them and know where exactly they are, do some analysis regarding their acreage, whether it's still healthy or they have to relocate their cattle. There were also some geotechs which came with it. However, this project was mainly supposed to empower the Department of Vet Medicine in seeing how animals can avoid having cross infections. What usually happens when animals are being transported from one location to another, either they're going to the abattoirs or to another region. We have very notorious drivers who choose to mix cattle with goats, chicken, you name it, everything. And this is not allowed according to the Ministry of Agriculture to mix animals, because all those breeds have got unique diseases which can cross over to the other breed. Therefore, we were supposed to track how the animals were being transported at the checkpoints. It was a project where we're trying to see how best we can use robotic technology to track notorious drivers who mix animals in order to avoid any cross infections amongst cattle, especially cattle. They are the most important ones in the cattle corridor. So the impact basically was for us to ensure that we have augmented analysis and AI or ML algorithms. We did a bit of training with this software. It has its downfall. It was about it was a new software which had just come on market, and we realized that when we were training, it was also mimicking ant hills with cattle. Do you ever have the challenge like that? Huh? Where you train an algorithm and then you see it also identifying something close to it as... Sorry? Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that is one of the challenges which we are still facing with most of these new technologies which are coming. We have not really got to the point where we can say we are 80%. There are some which have been running for a long time. You know that they'll do a good job, beyond no doubt. But with the new technologies, as we are also trying to cut down on costs, go for new products which are on market because you feel that they are affordable to sustain the project, they still have their flaws. Oh, I'm using this one. Okay, we are not only thinking about ourselves, we believe in empowering the next generation, and to do so we have been working in schools, in universities, also whenever we go for a project. As you can see, one of our pilots was first illustrating how a drone works to the young people in Kalangala. That's part of knowledge transfer. You want to expose them to the future, to their future aspirations. It can be actually steered at this time. We have some partners in Turkey who have been doing quite a lot of STEM projects. in the area of robotics and as well as aviation. We work with the schools in different capacities, science, delivery of some of the subjects so that it can complement well with their day-to-day classes and they begin to see things differently and have a better perspective. We're also trying to demystify the fear that most people have in joining science subjects, especially at high school level. This is because we are forward-looking to having our own innovators in Uganda. We do not want to continue having Silicon Valley on the top of the list. We want to begin having Silicon Valley right with us. So it starts with steering and sparking their what do? You spark their minds. Yeah, you spark their minds with what is ahead of them, the new technologies, how the workforce is going to be in the near future. Things are changing. Also, they need to have an understanding of their career, how their careers are going to be modeled in the next generation. When they go out there, they do not want to be totally thrown off because they are doing traditional subjects, but they should have those complementing elements in their life so that they can apply them adequately, or they will not be too lost, especially if they go abroad. So we've been working with North Green and many other schools to empower them using some STEM kits, and we're going to be having quite a number of boot camps, and hopefully we'll teach them how to fly depending on how we get our permissions. One of the things which we do is to catalyze businesses. We develop the robotic market by providing guidance, equipment, experience to people interested in offering drone and robotic services, as well as businesses, through renting hardware and software to approved users, and creating project concepts, identifying and responding to work opportunities. We also offer drone as a service business incubation program and eventually establish a set of drone hubs across Uganda to meet the local needs. So we basically look at the needs, the value, change, solution, and we look for the stakeholders. Now let's talk about location intelligence. What is location intelligence? Now, when we were growing, we were so much into business intelligence. Why do we need business intelligence? Can I just know the areas you are in? What exactly are you doing? Yes? That could help. Then I know how we can apply business intelligence, location intelligence in your space. Yes. Yeah. What's your area of expertise, or what is the interest to you? Social tech. Okay. Can you kind of elaborate when you say social tech?
So ideally use technology
Mm-hmm.
but to connect communities to communities or communities to organizations.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. We are together. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Uh-huh. What are you doing? Web and data science. Okay, it seems like I don't have ordinary people who are working with people. Uh-huh. They are all tech people. Business intelligence analyst. Ah. Okay. Okay. I was also in the telecoms. Okay. Uh-huh. Health informatics, okay. Mm-hmm. Research, what type of uh-huh. Mandate? Oh, data analyst. Data. Uh-huh.
Mine is more about communications, but using data to come up with communication strategies and understanding, sort of like business intelligence. But
Business intelligence. Uh-huh.
I'm a student, but an AI, machine learning, and data science enthusiast.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a software engineering student. That's my career.
Engineering student. Can you hear her? Yes.
No, I'm in social work. I work with a civil society organization.
Okay.
I wear many hats. I work for a business consultancy where I do process development and I lead an off-grid technical team. And off to side my free time, I am a data scientist and I develop open source software.
So we already have innovators around us.
Yeah, I'm a data scientist.
Data scientists.
Just mainly opportunity and the problems, solutions for problems.
Women empowerment. So I do business reviews and I weigh the options. So trying to find how to use data to inform businesses.
Why women? Oh! Did you hear that? Big thing? Really? Women have been in existence from the time of creation. They can never be the next big thing. They can never be the next big thing. Well, I'm not too sure about the issue of gender balance. It could take us to another topic. Yeah, yes. I think it's more to do with what can you do? Whether you're a man or a female or a she, he, whatever the world is beginning to say. But we believe in men and women. You can all have equal opportunities. It's a sad thing that we may end up tilting the scale so much on one side. Then 5 years down the line, you realize that, oh my God, we made a mistake. We should have kept it balanced. So, okay, we'll not go there. Okay, so business intelligence. I used to be a business intelligence person until I realized that you also need locations. If you do not know the dynamics of the environment you want to work in, you will not achieve the best of results you want. So therefore, I decided to swing my pendulum towards putting together information that is spatial in order for me to make better analysis and come up with the best strategies that would work for me. So spatial intelligence is absolutely important in our day-to-day work. And for those who are also into health, you need spatial intelligence, beyond no doubt. It is the process of deriving meaningful, insightful information from geospatial data, relation to solve particular relationships in solving particular problems. It involves layering multiple data sets spatially and in a chronological way that is easy. Maps are very easy. You can get everything there. You've been talking about being data scientists. The presentation also takes a lot. An ordinary person like you and I, who is not a data scientist, may not be able to interpret the information as much as a map. A map simply shows you everything because it is visual. In data science, I heard you talking quite a lot. There were so many graphs, one can easily get lost. It is a closed circle, but when we talk about spatial data, it's about space. It's about our everyday encounters being visual and us identifying with them through statistics, through whatever you've also been talking about. But we make it easy for the user to understand. Location intelligence is also used on decisions. which are for risk mitigation. So today I want to talk about coffee, a use case of coffee in location intelligence. Because we have a project which we have been doing recently. I wanted to really come down to what we do every day with some of the work we have been doing we're using drones. You know, coffee is ranked 7th in the whole world, Uganda, the volumes which we have. And we produce between 3 to 4 million 60 kilogram bags per year, which is par to Peru. We are doing very well, Uganda. Let's clap for ourselves. We are doing so well. And we are second in Africa to Ethiopia. Thank you very much. I've been wanting to ask about ventilation. Thank you so much, yes. And there's something beautiful about Uganda. Because we have two seasons, we can have 2 cycles of coffee unlike any other country. That gives us a plus. And then the other thing which makes me very proud is that we have 2 types of coffee, Arabica and Robusta, which is very difficult to find in most of the other coffee growing economies. The highland coffees and the one for lowlands. And where do we stand when we are in the central part of Uganda? Low. So what type of coffee have you been hearing of? Arabica? Huh? Robusta, okay. But when you go to eastern Uganda, it's Arabica, yes. Let's know more about our country. There is so much wealth in this country. Coffee is one of the biggest export crop in Uganda. While most countries typically harvest coffee once a year in Uganda, we have an extra period called the fly crop. This falls between June and September. That is what we call the fly crop. We have an extra crop which comes with it. And I'm happy to say that we did our crop analysis during that period of the fly crop when it was raining. It wasn't fun, but we did it. Okay, the problem statement we face at the moment is a climate change. Coffee is highly vulnerable due to the fact that in the recent years, it's no longer like before. There's been a rise of temperature, increasing erratic rainfall. Nobody knows when rainfall comes these days. And what are the other challenges that are coming with climatic change? What brings your low yield? No rainfall. We have already said heat, temperatures, and low yield, yes. Yeah, but what brings all those? What are the other factors? The earth shifts. That is part of the water, soil, leaching of soil. Anyway, deforestation. Someone has said deforestation. It also has its effects on how the crop is going to thrive. Yes, you have said some of the things that unpredictable temperatures and erratic rain expose coffee to pests, disease, and also the quantity and quality decreases. What else has happened recently? COVID-19. COVID-19 did not leave us the same. Probably most farmers began to feel like there is no hope. During that season, I understand from the Coffee Development Board that they exported a lot of coffee. There was high consumption of coffee outside. However, in that time, most people could not move especially if you do not have a vehicle, you're a coffee farmer, but you cannot afford to have your own car. By then, there was no public transport. You had to have your own car. So it kind of diminished in terms of the challenges they faced were cash flow. They could not go out to do some of the supporting activities for coffee. What are the other things that could happen when you're in a lockdown as a farmer? It's not easy for you to get fertilizer. I don't think even the agricultural extension officers were moving then. It was, it was a coffee break for them too, because it was lockdown. So here you are with your coffee, you see that it's almost perishing, but you do not have expert advice from the agriculturalist, and then you just see your coffee dwindle to death. That is what we call putting your money to waste. Those are some of the experiences. Now the financiers are out there to see how best they can help coffee farmers. And in that period, the financiers were not moving that much as well. We are talking of banks, agriculture, and also training. Institutions could not go to the farmers. Market data was not sufficient. Infrastructure, like paved roads and processing of facilities was not easy. Risks for the crops was becoming high. Even the market was almost lost. The price was fluctuating. For an ordinary coffee producer, it was the most difficult time. But for those who had their cars, who were commercial farmers, it was the best time for them. So it was a win-win. Those who had it all actually got more during the coffee. It was like a coffee boom for them during COVID season, because if you had your good yields, you took them to Welgerere, they did the processing, they paid you a good check, you're good to go. But for my dad, who is down there in Barara, and he has got his coffee plantation, however, he doesn't have access, the lorry guy does not come so often anymore. It was a loss. Now let's see how we can use location intelligence to get out of this. What are the risks which come with coffee? One, the terrain, soil, climate, we've already talked about it, flood. I thought you were going to say earthquakes. Have we not been having earthquakes in Western Uganda? And in Congo, what happened, the volcanoes? Imagine your plantation is close to that mountain. It erupts. What happens? You lose everything. Natural disaster, water policies and regulations also have been affecting how we produce our coffee. It's a risk. If you're a farmer, you definitely sit and listen when they talk about water policies, because you're not too sure if they're going to open the Nile Basin and say that, yes, we have the right to also do irrigation through the Nile Basin in case you have your plantation close to River Nile or to the lake. We are not allowed to use it for irrigation. Otherwise, the resources will be depleted. But there are also water table policies which come with it. Does anyone know about any of the water policies? No. Yeah? To a what? But that is where it is very lucrative. Okay, construct. Yes, it's a policy. Yeah? But what if I'm a farmer? How does it affect me? I'm doing my coffee plantation near a wetland. I can actually pull some of the water from small ponds with drip lines. Can I do that? Am I allowed? I'm allowed. Great. Thank you. So we are getting somewhere. You're beginning to understand the policies, how they affect our day-to-day living, and the regulations themselves. Property and land loss, outbreaks, thefts, war, land invasion is one of the critical issues that is happening day to day. You have planted your beautiful coffee when it is so green and lush looking. Someone comes and says, this is my property. It's our land. While you have your crops there, how do you work around it? Those are the challenges most farmers are getting, the risks which come with it. Outbreak theft, yes. Some people come and rip your coffee at night, in the morning, when it is just about to be harvested. You find it all gone. Someone will come and do it for you. There are people who do not want to work, but they want to harvest. Those are some of the risks. And then, of course, we have poor farming technical knowledge. You know, we sometimes want to get into business without really having an understanding, the scope of what we are doing, the outcomes, the market, how strategic are we? Are we in the right place for us, to transport our coffee? How are we going to be part and parcel of the export board? We are clueless. We don't even know whether the soil we are planting on is the right one, the terrain, is it the right one? All those are things which are risks. We have heard that coffee is the big cash crop. When I get my pension or NSSF, the next thing I want to do is to buy seedlings. I have a piece of land, go and do what is needful without having an understanding and repercussions or even having knowledge, going to learn about it. Natural disasters like locust, crop attack, generic crop diseases. What are the major crop diseases we are facing in Uganda for coffee? We had one which was out 2 months back. What? Yeah, but what I'm saying is the disease, there was a disease which affected most of the coffee, the leaves for coffee. Blight, yes. The leaves were beginning to turn brown in most of the fields, and that is one of the generic diseases most farmers experience, especially in central, because water in the central is not as much as those who are on the highlands. And the other risks which are faced in this industry is death. During the time of COVID, most people lost their breadwinners with big plantations. And also health. I understand that when you get COVID, your health gets compromised. You're not as energetic as you were before. Is it true? It's true. Has anyone had COVID the way you're saying it? Yes. So those are some of the things which are risks, but we don't realize that we are living in a high-risk area. What is risk and why manage it? Why do we have to manage this? You're in business. Why do we have to manage risk? Huh? Ordinarily, why? Why? Why do we have to manage risk? It can wipe out all your investments. Whatever we are doing, whether it is in data analysis, whatever, software engineering, you have to manage risks. Otherwise, all your work will go to waste. Risk is defined as a possibility of something bad happening. Risk involves uncertainty about effects, implications on activity with respect of something. There should be something in the background. Why manage risk? Considering the various potential risks or events before they occur is very important. Let's think about what are the potential risks. It's very important. Before you start your business, you ask yourself, Am I going to go all the way, including the risks which come with the business? Am I right? Mm-hmm. You also want to avoid losses. You want to protect farmers from unexpected disasters. Mitigating grievances between farmers is very important. You know that we are living in a community. We're talking about community, social, cyber. Communities are not very easy to manage. There's always strife. Everyone wants to pick something from someone. And agricultural borrowers also have challenges. What do you think the bankers, what is the challenge for bankers? Return on investment. They give them loans. Sometimes the loans are not returned on time because of some of these risks. So they have to also plan adequately. They have to predict outcome. And we believe that predicting outcomes comes with knowledge and understanding of some of the intelligence in location. We have been working alongside with UCDA and some agri-loan businesses to understand how best we can help them to maintain steady flow of cash and also to have sustainable projects, because those are the risks, and how best they can impact the communities they are serving. And the other thing is credibility. You know, customers are very funny people. You give them a loan and then they say that the bank gave me little money, that is why it did not work. What are the other things they complain about? So your bank becomes, the credibility of the bank goes off the books. For those who are in their own spaces of work, what are the things which can make you lose your credibility from customers? The bank came and took my car. It's not because they just wanted the car. It's because you failed to pay the loan on time. Mm-hmm. What are the other things which makes bank have poor credibility? Okay, we want to bridge the gap. Yeah, sometimes they don't have money, by the way. You're very right. It's because the cycle is not flowing well. People are not paying money. They are not getting interest so that they can furnish the next farmer who comes. Yes. Yes. Yeah? So creating unhealthy competition. Sometimes banks create unhealthy competition. Have you ever borrowed a loan as a business person in the bank? Wow, I've got good people. They don't borrow loans. They don't borrow. Oh, you're not yet borrowing. You work with what you have. So how do you learn the hard way? But sometimes this helps, by the way. It does help. It does help. Banks are there to support those who can manage to return the money. Let's see how we can mitigate the risk. We have UCDA. It's a viable economics. It gives you viability and economy. And some of the products they have is to support on research for better livelihood with appropriate arms. And they also pave access for financial support to banks. They are the ones who are kind of the gatekeeper and who can go on your behalf and say, these guys are doing a good job. Please give them money. Sometimes they get money from EU, and many other funders. You can get your farm supported for a year in either tools or technology. Hopefully that you will take on and begin to do it on your own. Sustainability is another thing. They also give access to smallholder farmers to kind of be entrepreneurs, as well as connecting with big farmers so that they can be an inflow for the big farmers who are already exporting. They also help farmers on their capital for buying crops, and so do the banks. They advocate for guarantee, which the banks are doing. We have a bank which we're working with in that regard. They also are guarantors for farmers. They give them 100%, okay, it's zero free loans for tractors. As long as you have your money come in, not even without money, actually, opportunity says you can come and get a tractor and then you pay later at zero. So they have a way they get funding from the global space to empower farmers in such areas as coffee and many other crops. So let's see how we can mitigate the insightful thing when we're talking about coffee and the risk. GIS is, in coffee agriculture, is a way to solve some of these key challenges which we have talked about using the tools such as drones, as well as other mapping equipment. The whole purpose of this is to also identify crop stress so that the banker knows, I have to go and give them fertilizer in case it is lacking any nutrients. Probably we need to give them money to irrigate. We need to give them money for pesticide. We need to give them money for labor. That is the reason. Soil health, they can help you do soil health, give you money for that so that you can take your soil to Makerere and then you find a way of mitigating to make it more nutritious. Water use and quality is very important. Yield projection, dozens of other metrics all put together into an intuitive, easy to understand on an interface. Those are some of the things which you can do to mitigate the risk using GIS tools. So here we are, we have our GIS tools. What they can bring for us out there is we can have a terrain analysis which helps us to understand whether we are farming in lowland, on a cliff, on a hillside, how best can we support our farming techniques in order not to lose all the nutrients when it is on a hillside. That's when UCDA comes in with their expertise, or the bankers themselves can find you people who they are already collaborating with to give you support. Climate conditions, it's not their fault. Things can go wrong. Economic status of a region. We do a lot of surveys in that area to empower the lenders, UCDA, to think through whether they should invest in certain areas. There are areas where it's well known that people, even if you give them coffee seeds, nothing will come out. And I don't think anyone who is in finance would like to just give money anyhow. Educational status. Do you think it's important when we're talking about farming? Absolutely important. Just having general understanding, literacy is important for one to understand how they are going to do their measurements. 1 to 3 of the pesticides to water is very important. The reason why sometimes we have a lot of risks in our day-to-day farming is because most of our farmers do not read. They just feel they know from, I can measure, you know how it is with, I can measure, I will know by putting this. They don't even know the chemical component of that insecticide. Probably is different from the one you've been using for so many years. There is that assumption that I know I've been doing it for so long. But you know, the world is not always in one pace. It keeps moving. Things are changing. Physical features. Those are very important. Understanding the physical features of your area is important for you to know. The trees, the mountains, what is the implication? And accessibility of roads. How accessible is it? Are you going to make money? Are you going to break even if you are living right at the back of the world to bring your coffee? You have to make those calculations. Road network, other supporting infrastructure. What are the other supporting infrastructures we can think of when you're a farmer? Yes, Mr. Policy. Huh? I cannot see your name. You know, having warehouses nearby is one of the supports we need. What else? Yes, road. And what else are the supporting infrastructure? Think about business. People are actually failing to find granaries where they can keep their coffee before it goes to the main coffee producer. Drying, even drying. Where can I dry it? I need somewhere where there are no monkeys. Huh? Those are some of the issues people have challenges with. So we have to open our minds and say, how do we also support these farmers to have a proper end-to-end business, which is very effective? Demography for productive age. Wouldn't want to take a risk putting my coffee in an area where there are mainly people over 60. I'm sorry to say, I don't want to say that 60s, but their production, realistically speaking, has diminished. As much as they may have passion for farming, I know that most people, they talk of going into farming after retirement. Farming is now when you have the energy. That's when you do it. Periodical projection trends of harvest is very important. If we don't do it, the projections, you can break your back without having an understanding of how much is going to come, how much you're going to get. Are you going to continue just putting new coffee trees without an understanding of how much you're going to get? If I put coffee trees worth 30 million and I get 2 million over 5 years, if I made any profit, return on investment is almost coming to probably 20 years. If you're getting 2 million, 15 years, return on investment. Is this something worth doing? No. So we have to think about projection trends. If I have coffee which is 2 years, they use between, is it 30 kgs? I know 60 kgs is maximum when it's 3 years. You have to think through, do I have to keep putting more coffee or I wait for this one to give me money? It's important for us to do that. Crop health is very important because you want to respond. It's one of the things which we have to do. So our mitigation plan, ideally we look for the geographic expansion. How best are we going to help UCDA and lenders, the bank as well as the farmers in the area of IPN number by pointing and clicking a map? They should know that this place is where actually the data sets, which we are going to put your data, that is where it comes in. When you click a map, you see age, 50% over 50, 30% under 20, they're not productive. And then the remaining one, which is 30%, is the most productive. Is that a viable place? When you click your map and you see that? So we streamline all that information, the layers we are talking about, demography, infrastructure, are they main roads, are they secondary roads, are they small roads? You know, all those things we have to streamline and come up with that data. Yes, you're dying. Yes, it can be put in depending on what the client wants, but whether, you know, it keeps changing. You can talk about maybe the general climate, unless otherwise you have, yes. But now with this climatic change, it's becoming very difficult to predict. Although there are interactive maps which come on all the time on the web showing you and projecting, you cannot do, it's no longer the same where you would say in January it's going to rain, in this area it's wet, in Western Uganda it's dry in this season. Things have kind of changed, although you can give that. Also, the bankers want to know this because they want their data for metrics. They have what they call, they do reports, and they want to have meaningful reports which have got this information. Farmer relationship. UCDA can share this data with farmers and other stakeholders to encourage sustainable water practices and also strengthen the agriculture lending relationship. These sustainable water practices can increase longevity and return on investment through two incredibly important items in the current climate is water stress. It's one of them. What is the other one? Water stress also brings pests. That's one of the water. When there's no water, or when there's too much water, there is pests. What is the other thing? The main thing is water stress. All over the world, most of the crops is water stress. Drought affects crops quite a lot. It can be too much, by the way. Yes. So water too much and too little always brings pests either way. It has to be optimal. Water risk mitigation, we also look at the water bodies. We give maps which show the water bodies. In this area, the water table is this high. You give the altitude. It gives the farmer an insight on how exactly they are going to work. Are they going to put wells in that area? Water bodies, the farm which we're working in, they have a small dam. He was so blessed to buy a big plot of land. Just below the hill, there's a dam which he is now taking water from and putting drip lines. So I'm going to tell you about a farm called Ventura Farm. It's in Mukono. They are doing coffee farming. One of the things which we did, our main objectives was to create maps with the existing infrastructure, plan for the future, see how the land is being used. Is it being used adequately as a farm? Expansion on the existing structure, terrain analysis, and we also did crop analysis, which meant we had to also do inventory, where we used AI application, and harvest projection, we also used the AI application as well. So we went to Ventura Mukono Farm, and that is like 3 weeks back. I thought maybe I should share with you this. And we captured images using a DJI multispectral. A multispectral drone has got 6 cameras, monochrome, and then blue, green, red, and the red edge, near infrared, to name a few. They all have a purpose in doing a data analysis. And amongst all this is Ventura Farm, which you can see here, and some of the farms which are surrounding around that area. There is quite a lot of tea in that area, and small-scale farmers, including households. The purpose of this was also to enlighten the bank that there is potential in UCDA of getting out growers. How do we make other people in the neighboring community be part of this? Because coffee is like a boom. It's a boom, huh? It's a big thing, as you were saying. Women are the next big thing. For me, I don't think women are the next big thing. I'm thinking of money. Yes. We are not going to use women as a commodity. No. Yes, okay. So we have used flight parameters of ground sampling distance of 4 centimeters with an overlap of 75. I don't think we need to talk so much about that. We just I want to show you the outcome of our flights when we were in Mukono to come up with the solutions that we had. That is the farm where we were. It's about 66 acres. Part of it is multi-cropping. It's called multi-cropping, where you mix bananas and coffee because you want to give coffee a shade. Intercropping, sorry. Yeah, intercropping. And then we also did sampling, which is kind of near here at the bottom, this is the dam I was talking about. And they've started doing some crops which are not intercrops. They are doing an experiment to see how those will thrive without the shade, although they are kind of on the slope. So we had 2 types of crops we were trying to get on behalf of UCDA and see which one thrives best. Okay. From the multispectral data which we got what we call NDVI maps, which are called Normalized Difference Vegetation Index. In this, it is primarily used for assessment of vegetation dynamics, particularly in determining the crop health status. NDVI is measured using mathematical calculations of spectral bands, which is also algorithms. And as you see, here we're just doing an overview of the crop health within the farm. What you see dark shows vegetation, but it doesn't give you the detail, the granular information we need. This is just basic. You can see that the dark green is high vegetation. When you get to orange, it shows that piece of land where you were seeing new crops is not yet productive. Now, when we go into more details, we were trying to determine whether this piece of land was suffering from flood. Does it have flood risks? Yes, it does. Remember, there is a dam. The water table is likely to be high when there is a dam. Isn't it? Yeah? If there's too much rain, what happens? Remember, the dam was somewhere here. All these crops around here, if they are still less than 1 year, will be drowned, and then they can also have that disease. For over moisture crops. We have to find a way of mitigating. Even the bank UCDA has to think, if we have a lot of farmers in Mukono with that type of piece of land, that terrain, that you can see the contours. The contours are also giving us an idea of the heights, the elevation of the land, in order for one to make adjustments in terms of managing floods. This information is also given to the bank to make loan matrix. Is it a high risk? If it's a high risk, what do? The repayment is faster. You pay high for repayment because they know that anything can happen in between A and Z. So they try by all means to do their return on investment on time because of this type of analysis, using this type of data, contours, elevations, to name a few. Yeah?
Now, is it the bank that would be your client that requests for that data? Because as a farmer, I don't take that data to the bank.
Yes, when they want to give loans, we are actually teaching them that instead of you going with an assessor, we can do it with a drone. We fly over the area of interest, give you all this data, manipulate the data, give it to you, you begin to manage how you're going to do your return on investment. Sorry? Let's first finish this. So anyway, for the farmer, this is what we did with some algorithms. We used what we call deep learning model from ArcGIS. As you can see, we have different farms in there. Now, this is the real one, and that is this farm. And what you can see is just the detection of the crops, right? When you detect the crops, you can now tell that this one has got bliss, depending on how you have done your, how you have run your algorithms. You know, you have to give different variations towards it. And the output really is this. This from the algorithms which we did, we were looking at the total per plot, the age of the crop. So you can see that with this call out, this is the crops which are 3 years and above, and it gives us the total number of how many are good, how many are moderate, how many are very poor, and the acreage. You can see the area is there, the density of vegetation, how big it is, and then also you look at the coffee, it gives you the grammage. How many grams are you going to get from this chiboko, that is all coffee. Chiboko is the green one, huh? And then all coffee, and then chiboko healthy, it gives you also the statistics of how much you're going to get from it. So the variations are there. You begin to know because of the projections which are coming from this AI process which we did. You know from each plot how much you're going to get in a year. You project. For that one which is 2 years, you can also project. You see this is the average age is 2 years. Is going to get, the total is 300, but the good coffee is 1,246, meaning that it's even less than the amount in this plot. It's very small. Then we have moderate, which may need to be worked on. Probably it needs fertilizer, it needs chemical application, yes? Mm-hmm. It depends with if you have the money, but it's something which can be agreed on, that we can fly, we can do every week. It may not be realistic, like twice in a quarter, so that you begin to have trends. Yes, when we flew the drone, and it doesn't change automatically. You give it another month. If you go and fly after a month, we're going to talk to the farmer. We're having a meeting with him next week to discuss the output of what we got from it, the outcome of what we got from this. Because this is all about health and harvest analysis. He should begin to calculate, is he making profit? If he has the red berries harvest coming to probably 30% of the entire field, what can he do to improve the yields? That's one of the reasons why we did that. So we want to understand and detect, mask all the data which is there, and then we can come up with a response. The response is already there. I was talking about also mapping the other neighboring areas. For the banker and UCDA, they can see the potential that Farmer Jane has not yet started thinking about coffee, yet the neighbor has coffee. Probably we need to interest her in getting into the coffee business. These ones, they are just aloof. Maybe they need, who owns these plots? Now they begin to find out, who owns these plots? Let's interest them and tell them, we can give you a loan, we can give you support. You see, this is the in thing. People, go for it, go for it. That is the reason why you also have to have this mapping done for location intelligence. For those who want to make their decisions, to be equipped enough and have information that is viable for them to also make business using location intelligence. What else can you deduce from this type of map? If you are a businessman, probably you own a warehouse. You tell them, I have a warehouse right here. The infrastructure is good. There are good roads. Hey, mister, there is nothing that is happening here. Probably you need to put coffee, no building. Put coffee. Ask who owns this land. Then you can be on a list of like 5 years, 10 years, you name it, while you're doing work. So this is how people generate business using location intelligence. Understanding all those dynamics that help them to have, to take risks, good risks. So in response, we are able now to process the images in a very short time, turnaround time, for the farmer. They've been doing maybe walking. That farm is quite big. It looks small there, but it's quite big. You cannot finish it in a day. They've been using rudiment methods where they go and check how are the crops doing in that area. Probably the farm workers don't even do it, by the way. He's calling from Kampala. Have you gone to check that acreage? How is it doing? He says, Muze, all is good, all is good. Yet he has not even walked a single inch. Technology helps us to optimize such and also to eradicate human factors. They can be lazy to do their work. And also we noticed that there's accuracy which comes with some of this data. You can actually tell that in a certain part of the field, the coordinate points can tell you that in this particular area on the map, that is where there is a crisis. The crops are dwindling. There is a need for response. Then you monitor your place where people typically cannot give you good services. You can identify the risks in time and respond to them. You can now your exports, which was likely to be minimized because of leakages due to so many of the other risks, is normal. I'm sure the owner of Ventura is going to think through how best he can take on some of the risks we have seen. The reason why some of that area does not have good yields is because it's very rocky. So if anyone wants to invest in that area, they need to understand why is it that it's not thriving. It's because it's rocky. And the other reason, when it's rocky, what happens? The coffee does not thrive because it does not have enough nutrients. It's surrounded by a lot of rocks and not soil. We believe that he has already started buying small seedlings to put in those areas where the crops are not thriving. That's one of the things which has happened in response. I think I'll stop here. I know it has been a very long day, and the last talk usually is a very difficult one. Okay, do you have any questions in respect to coffee? I thought I would just focus on the coffee. There's so much you can do with allocation intelligence. Yes?
How are you fly the drones, and what is the area coverage, say, like for routes over 1 hour?
1 hour.
Yeah.
Okay. According to CA regulations, 60 is okay for agriculture, as long as above sea level, right? Yes. 100 becomes a BV loss, what we call beyond visual line of sight. So whenever we are doing our applications, we usually put between 60 and 80, but in the forestry environment, we have quite a lot of long trees and tall trees. You may fly probably around 90. However, if you go beyond 100, you now have to apply for a BVLOS license to fly. Like in Kalangala, we are using BVLOS. Yeah. Oh, area coverage. Yes, we do. Yes, for planning purposes and also for battery utilization, we do that. An average, depending with the type of drone you are flying, with the multispectral, which is a Phantom 4, it flies for 30 minutes. And in 30 minutes, it can cover something like 30 hectares, right? Depending with the speed and the wind and the forces. We also have to think about the forces. The weather itself has an effect on the flights. You have to get another battery. You can fly for more than 30 minutes, but you have to now stop, put another battery, and then it goes back to fly, depending with how many batteries you have and if you have somewhere to charge them. we usually move with about 6 batteries if it is a big acreage. And if it is an M300, which is a bigger version, it flies for 40 to 50 minutes. The ones which we use in Kalangala. Oh, it is even faster. Yes, it covers much ground. Yes, yes, but we have what we call a mission plan. That mission plan, depending on the software you are using, for instance, if it is drone deploy, it automatically picks from where it stopped. But when you're using Pix 4D, you have to redo mission planning. From where it stopped, you give it new coordinates of where it stopped, and then it continues. Yes, it will continue flying. So you can do as much as you can, depending, yes. Depending also with how hot it is on that day, because the batteries get very hot. When it's around 12 midday, it's not ideal for you to fly. You have to kind of wait for around 3. And then also their drafts, wind forces have an effect on drones. They slow down because they're flying against strong winds. Sometimes we have to stop the flights. Rain as well affects us. There are so many hindrances which come with flying. Yeah.
You spoke about multispectral. What type of, is that laser technology?
No, it's not laser. It's just sensors.
Yeah, the sensors. What exactly is, what physics is the sensors? Because I'm assuming it's lasers. And if it's sensors sending out signals, they are probably going to be affected by the moisture and whatnot. And does that affect what you do?
Yes, it does. It also does. If it is very windy, sometimes your images are glary. They are not a good resolution, so you have to fly again. Moisture, they also have a way they design the sensors to help them perform in certain conditions, depending with the type of drone. The M300 goes against all forces. Water, you name it. That is a high-end one. It's expensive. And multispectral is moderately expensive. Then the other ones are relatively expensive. So it depends with the type of sensors. Some resist most of the weather conditions. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, very correct. The flight height is dependent on the physical environment, as you have said. We also look at pylons, electric poles. Before you do your flying, there's what we call mission planning. You have to first have an understanding of the surrounding. You may go on Google Map, check the area which you have been assigned to do to see what exactly is there, the features that are there, or you go on ground and do that. That will help you to come up with the right heights of flying. And when you get to the site, definitely you're going to look for the highest point where you're going to fly from and land in order for it not to be so far away from the above sea level, because no work with above sea level. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yes, we do. Permissions. Yes. Yeah. Well, how we usually go through the line ministry, if it is agriculture, Ministry of Agriculture gives us a no obligation letter. Then we take that to CAA. Now it's different. CAA talks to Chief of Air Force, and then Chief of Air Force talks to UPDF. When you get your license, you submit to all those regulatory bodies, including the State House, telling them when you are going to fly, at what altitude, etc., etc. But CAA is the one which does more of the assessment, document assessment when you submit. And then there's what they call risk assessment, a SORA, where you do assessments of risk of operation. You submit it, telling them that this place does not have a lot of people in case of an accident. We are okay. If it has many people, what are the mitigation plans you have? You have to write all that. You have to always have mitigation plans against any risk as you're doing the application. But in the farms, it's not that rigorous. It's mainly where there is quite a lot of activity. Yeah. An illegal structure. Sometimes we don't know what usually happens with this, what we call community engagement. Before we fly, we have to talk to the community, inform them we are going to be flying on this day at this time for this purpose. They buy into it, they sign and agree that they are okay with it. Yes, we just do not fly. But with this one, it was a private property. That is why it was easy for us to fly. We know the farmer, everybody was aware of it. And we're making sure that we don't do what we call aerospace collusion. Yeah, that is one of the most important things. Yeah.